As I mentioned, thank you so much for joining us for Phase Two's info session for Flip New South Wales. We're super excited to be here to be able to deliver this with you today. You are here hopefully because you have an idea or the beginnings of one and you want to know whether Phase Two of New South Wales Flip is the right place to take it forward. Over the next hour, we're going to walk you through exactly what Phase Two involves, what you get, what we're looking for, how to apply, and we will go through the application form together so you can see exactly what it asks of you. You'll also have plenty of time to ask questions, so get comfortable and let's get started. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I am zooming in from, the Awabakal and the Worimi people, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. As I mentioned, you've got Taylor and Richard. I'm Taylor. I'm the manager of Flip here at I2N, and Richard is the senior manager of entrepreneurship. You will see a bit of Richard in the chat, and I'm sure that you'll get to interact with him throughout the program as well, but this is your Flip team. A little bit about I2N, if this is your very first time interacting with us, hello, thank you so much for joining us. I lied, sorry, housekeeping. Housekeeping, the session is being recorded, so if you do have to drop off early or anything happens and you have to jump off, that's okay. You can revisit it later on. The recording will be sent to you via email, but also it will be made available on the New South Wales Flip website as well. And if a question comes to you at any point, just pop it into the Q&A window. There'll be a few different parts where we're able to stop and answer some questions. There are no silly questions, so please ask away. There's also an FAQ on the website, which is worth a look as well. Awesome. So a little bit about I2N, who we are. So I2N is the Integrated Innovation Network here at the University of Newcastle. And our vision is to make the Hunter and Central Coast region Australia's best ecosystem for startups. Our mission is to harness our region's unique resources to empower innovators to build high-impact startups. Now, Flip reaches right across New South Wales, but everything we do is grounded in years of hands-on experience, helping regional founders get started. And that's what we're bringing to this program. A few of our goals, we have three. The first is developing entrepreneurial mindsets and enterprise skills in students, staff, and the wider community. The second is increasing the translation of publicly funded research into commercial outcomes, so spin-outs. And the third, and the most relevant to you today, is driving new venture creation and scale-up success. And we don't just talk about it. Since launching I2N, we have run more than 563 networking events and workshops with over 16,000 attendees. We've engaged more than 3,800 businesses, and we have a growing network of mentors of over 50, which we are incredibly grateful to have. And that's the network that you would be stepping into if you joined Flip Phase 2. Here's what that has produced. 282 teams accelerated and incubated with 63% female participation, something that we are incredibly proud of. More than $86 million in total funding raised, all of those kind of numbers there, just to show you that the things that we do are also creating impact. But no one builds a venture entirely alone, and in Flip, you certainly do not have to. Our delivery partners are two wonderful regional universities, Charles Sturt University and the University of New England. And because Flip is a genuinely statewide program, they help us reach and support founders right across regional New South Wales. Flip is also made possible by the New South Wales Government through Investment New South Wales, together with the McDougall Foundation, and we are very grateful for their backing. And once you are in Flip, you get access to a stack of perks from some of the best tools in the business, and some of them are here on the screen as well, so you can see. So what is Flip? The biggest question of today. Flip is the Female Leadership and Innovation Program. It is a free cohort-based program built specifically for women across New South Wales who have a business idea and who want the skills, the competence, and the network to turn it into something real. Why does a program like this matter? It's a great question. Right now, women-led startups attract around 7% of venture capital funding in this country, only 7%. And that is not for a lack of brilliant ideas or capable female founders. And beyond the funding statistic, we truly believe that there are so many women with impactful ideas who never take the first step because of a gap in access, in networks, and in backing. So Flip was designed, and it exists to help close that gap. And this is not just a theory. Our pilot cohort in 2025 and our second cohort, which just finished with a net promoter score of 100, meaning that every single woman who has been through both of those cohorts would recommend that program to somebody else. So what you are applying for is something proven that we are now running right across the state. This is the Flip journey at a glance now that it's gone statewide. It is split into two phases. So we are currently in the middle of phase one. We are currently delivering phase one with a cohort of women across the state, and that runs from August to September. It is the top wide part of the funnel, which is 7 weeks online and all about getting an idea ready and starting to think about validating it with real potential customers. But what you are here for is the next step, which is phase 2. So applications for phase 2 are currently open, and that's the pre-accelerator, which runs from October till December. Now, an important thing to mention here, and it will come up a few times, is that you don't have to have done phase 1 to be able to apply for phase 2. So if you saw this and you thought, oh my gosh, I'm not in phase 1, maybe this isn't the right program, completely fine. Anyone is able to apply for phase 2. Here is the shape of phase 2. Like I mentioned, it runs from October through to December, but here are the exact dates. So it runs every Thursday from the 8th of October through to the 3rd of December, and we will take roughly 20 teams into this phase 2. There are weekly workshops which are delivered entirely online, and the curriculum walks you through the full journey of foundations, market validation, customer discovery, MVP tools. We look at leadership and resilience building, business models and startup finance, then communicating your value, presentations and pitching, and it all builds towards a statewide showcase, which the statewide showcase will be in person. Alongside the workshops, there are 3 other things that are included, which is weekly coaching, and we will talk a lot about coaching in a second. You'll have access to our networks and events as well as the networks and events of our delivery partners, and office hours with myself and Richard and the rest of the I2N team. So you'll always have somewhere that you can take a question outside of workshop delivery. To make that concrete, here's what a day would look like. So as it's online, we don't expect that you will want to sit on a Zoom screen from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. because I know that I wouldn't, so I'm sure that you wouldn't either. But there is a mix of half day and full day. And if it is a full day, it looks like a roughly 3-hour session in the morning with some breaks, and then a large break over the lunchtime so that you can get some lunch, go do some other things, do some work, whatever you like to do, and then maybe come back for an afternoon session. That's only half of the sessions in the program, and then the other half will only be half day, which means that they would run from roughly 9:30 till about 12:30. On top of that, like I mentioned, you'll have your 90-minute coaching session, you'll meet with your pod, which we'll talk about in a second, and you have your optional office hours. So this is just a good understanding of what the time commitment would look like on a Thursday, and then some extra things outside of that. Phase 2 comes with some real support behind it. There are a few things that you'll get if you get into phase 2, and I've listed them out here for you, but there are travel stipends to help with the cost of attending any in-person sessions, including the showcase at the end of the program. There are co-working opportunities through the Smart Regional Incubator and Charles Sturt University, as well as here at I2N in Newcastle, which will hopefully give you the space to build and connect closer to home, wherever that is for you. The big one, there are 3 ventures out of the phase 2 who will be awarded non-dilutive funding at the statewide showcase, which is 3 $5,000 grants. You'll also get the chance to be on a stage in front of the state, pitching your idea to judges and investors and industry leaders. And hopefully at the end of the program, you'll walk away with a validated venture and a community of women founders behind you. So lots of things that come out of phase 2. Here's a weekly schedule. So as we just talked about all the different things that you'll do, just wanted to show it to you up front so you can kind of see exactly what that looks like. There is a break at around week 7 because in order to present at Showcase, we can't have every single person in the cohort being able to present at the Showcase because we want to be able to have as many people in the program as we can. So there will be an application process that comes along with pitching at Showcase. And for that break in week 7, that is a really great opportunity for you to work with your pod members, to work with the program delivery team, and to work with the coaches on finalizing your application and then submitting it. But this is an overview of what that would look like, with the 3rd of December being your showcase event. If you know how I2N runs any of our other programs or are familiar with regular pre-accelerator programs, Flip is a little bit different in structure, as you've probably already noticed. We are fusing parts of a traditional pre-accelerator, but we're also combining leadership and confidence building. And there are 5 objectives that we deliver against, which you can see just here. And what will you walk away with? That's usually the biggest question that we get is, once I finish the program, what will I walk away with? And there are 7 things that we hope and that we aim towards through the 9 weeks of the program. The first one being a business idea that's validated through structured customer discovery and lean startup methodology, building your authentic leadership confidence, connecting with an ambitious cohort of female entrepreneurs, developing powerful communication skills, creating a tested business model, mastering work-life integration strategies, and progressing towards a validated problem solution fit. It's a lot of outcomes, but we hope that we'll be able to tick off all of them by the time that you finish the 9-week program. Now, I mentioned coaching a little bit before, so I want to talk to you a bit about that. This is the part that I think defines phase two and the thing that past participants have consistently told us matters the most, which is coaching. And how the coaching works is you are placed into a pod of up to 5 teams. So there might be more than 5 people because some people will have co-founders, but up to 5 teams. And that pod meets for 90 minutes of small group coaching online every Tuesday alongside the weekly workshop. So as mentioned, you would have the weekly workshop on a Thursday, which would either be half day or in person. And then every Tuesday, you would meet for 90 minutes with your pod and the coach. And that coaching session is where the week's content from the week before should get applied directly to your venture. That's where you can ask questions about the things that you learnt. You can, start to validate with your coach whether you're on the right track, all of those kind of things. And it's your time to learn from the coach and to learn from the people in your pod. Your pod will rotate between 2 coaches across the program so that you'll get 2 sets of expertise rather than just the one. What that looks like is week 1, you would have one coach. Week 2, you would have a different coach. Week 3, you would circle back to week 1, the week 1's coach. And so over the 8 coaching sessions, you will have met each of the 2 coaches 4 times. What you'll hopefully get out of that is weekly accountability, honest feedback, and a peer group building at exactly the same stage as you. And it doesn't just stop at Showcase. There is one final coaching session that'll happen once the program has finished for you to be able to talk about your next steps and to celebrate your wins. Here is a look at some of the coaches. So these are the coaches that we've had in phase 1, and they might not necessarily be the coaches that we have for phase 2, but just wanted to give you a brief overview of the different kind of expertise and skill sets that come along with our coaching teams. As you can see here, we have some that are founders, we have some that have been leadership facilitators or past program participants or work in UX UI design or work in grants and all those kind of things. So we're trying to build a coaching team that is geographically different, so across the whole state, but also very different in their skill sets and their experiences. Okay, we're going to pause for a second and just talk through any questions that you might have. So if you have a question at the moment, feel free to pop it into the Q&A section. Vanessa, I currently work on Thursdays, but I don't work on Fridays. Is there the option to watch the Thursday sessions on a Friday instead? That's a great question, Vanessa. Thanks so much for asking. Unfortunately not. So when it comes to this particular program, we will probably record a lot of the sessions, but the best value that comes out of these sessions is being on the call and being able to talk with the facilitator and have your questions answered and all those kind of things. So it is a definite consideration when applying for the program, whether the time commitment is something that you're able to commit to. And we will definitely look at being able to run this program on different days. It might not always stay on a Thursday. We will run this program twice next year as well. So that's a good insight for us to know that maybe Thursdays aren't the best days for everybody, but unfortunately not. Thank you for asking, Vanessa. Catherine, I'm based in Northern New South Wales. How much of the sessions are in person versus online? Great question. Almost all of the content is online. Anything that is in person, we do have travel stipends to be able to help people move in person if it is a necessity. The only one that is definitely in person is the statewide showcase, which will be on the 3rd of December, location pending. So we're not exactly sure where that'll be. But like I said, we do have some options to be able to get people there. Otherwise, most of it will be online. Great question. Tanvi, how suitable is phase 2 for ventures in early customer discovery and idea validation stage? It is incredibly suitable for that stage. That is a great question. It is actually built for that, and we'll go into this in a second, exactly what we're kind of looking for when it comes to applicants into the phase 2. But it's totally fine for you to be in early customer discovery and idea validation stage. That's exactly where we would expect most people to be. It's not the necessary requirement for everyone to be only at that stage, but that's where we would expect most of the applications to come from. Thanks, Tanvi. Maggie, if I have several ventures under the same company banner, can I make several applications? Yes, if you feel that you would like to talk about, if you feel like you would like to work on multiple ventures, you're more than welcome to submit both. However, the idea behind the program is that the skills that you're learning can be applied over and over again. So if you come into the program with one idea and then you think that that idea isn't going to work anymore, or you need to pivot or you change businesses, then you would still be able to use the same skill sets across multiple ventures. So maybe just pick your favorite one for now, or just maybe put a couple of them in the same application form. However you like to do it is completely fine. Awesome. How many applicants does the program allow for? We can have as many applications as possible. We would love that. I'd love seeing so many applications. But in regards to how many participants, which I think is probably what you mean here, if how many people will be in the program, around 20 is how many we're selecting. I'm Catherine. My disaster knowledge is currently being absorbed within government and business when I escalate things. How can I monetize this for my benefit, not just being exploited? My disaster knowledge is currently being absorbed within government and business when I escalate things. How can I monetize this for my benefit, not just being exploited? I'm not really sure how to answer that one for you, Catherine. Maybe if you want to send me an email afterwards and we can talk through that particular question. I don't think I'm quite understanding it, but feel free to send it through. Yvette, for those that are in phase one, will you be encouraging those with idea, concepts, business that you think might be a great fit for phase two to encourage them to apply? Thanks, Yvette. I will be encouraging everyone who's in phase one to apply. I think if you've been accepted into phase one, it's because you have some fantastic traits and fantastic skill sets and some drive to be able to be a great candidate for phase two. So I think anyone who's in phase one should apply 100%. Wendy, that's great. Thank you, Wendy. Margie, if you have a travel commitment during the period that may make it difficult to attend 1 week, is that going to be a problem? Could the 1 week be missed if I don't be done by reviewing the material afterwards? Great question. Absolutely. If you know it's just 1 week and you're happy to let us know, at the application phase, or if you get accepted, letting us know once you're accepted that there's 1 week that you can't make, that's completely fine. We understand that everyone already has things booked in. It's more about if you're thinking you can't make more than half the program, or you're going to be able to miss quite a few sessions, and that's when I would ask you to maybe consider your availability for the program at this particular point in time. But if it's just one, that's completely fine. Just let us know in advance. Thanks, Margie. Awesome. So great questions. Okay, so we're going to move on to what is being asked of you in the application process. And so if you have any other questions, obviously keep putting them in the Q&A because we'll come back to them. But who is Flip for and how to apply? That's really probably the main thing that you're wanting to know. So here are all of the applicant requirements. You need to identify as female and be over 18 years of age. You can be located anywhere in New South Wales. You are ready to validate your business idea and develop your leadership skills. Your teams can consist of between 1 to 3 founders. So if there's 2 of you and you both want to be a part of the program, you can apply together. That's completely fine. Noting that if you do have a male co-founder, that's fine, but they just can't be a part of the program. It's okay for you to be and for them not to be. Can't have had any significant external investment received already. So that means that you've already been working on your business and you've already received funding of over $500,000 for that particular business idea. As long as you're under that, you're welcome to apply. You can attend all the weekly workshops, coaching sessions, and program activities. Obviously, 1 or 2 here or there, life comes up, that's completely fine, but just really taking into account what your availability looks like between October and December. And the main one, you're eager to learn and you're open to feedback in a supportive environment. If all of that sounds like you, then we would love your application. The application process. So here is exactly what is being asked of you in order to submit an application. You're going to complete a draft I2N application via the PDF on the Flip webpage. You don't have to do that, but it's definitely easier once you've got the questions next to you and you start writing out all your answers before you actually submit your application. Then you're going to record a 3-minute video. So that's one of the main parts of this application process is the 3-minute video. And in that 3-minute video, you're being asked to address all of these things that are on the screen. So who are you? What is the problem that you're solving? What is the potential solution that you have in mind for that problem? Who would the customers and end users be? Why are you and your team the best people to solve it? And if you could have a coffee with any woman leader, past or present, who would it be and what would you ask her? That's my favorite one. I love hearing all the different answers. Once you've done that, so once you've got all your answers ready for the application form and you've recorded your 3-minute video, then you'll be able to submit your application via the fill out form link on the I2N Flip page. Okay, we're going to jump into looking at the applications. Just give me 1 second. I will flick us over there. It's this one. Awesome. I think you can all see the website now. If you can't, please let me know. But once you go to Google and you just type in I2N New South Wales Flip, this page will come up, which is everything that you need to know about the program. The recording of this info session will sit here where it says join the info session, and it'll say watch the info session. But once you're ready to apply for phase 2, you are going to click this apply here button, which will open up our fill out form. In the fill out form, it has some more information about the program as well as the application dates, but it also includes this link to a PDF form. So if you click that, it'll open up to all of the questions that will be asked of you in the application form. A lot of them are just about you specifically and your background. And so we'll just scroll down to the ones that I'm sure you might have some questions about, which is actually something I do want to mention is your team. So if you do have multiple founders, like I mentioned before, that's totally fine if there's multiple female founders who want to join, but you both have to submit an application. So submit, if it's 2 of you, submit 2 separate applications. But in section 4, where it says your team, you'll just include the email address of the other person so that we're able to match on our side. You're welcome to film your video together, that's completely fine, and then just upload the same link, that's okay. But we do need all of the other data for both team members. So some questions around your idea. The first one is, please share with us up to 10 short and very clear sentences that explain your venture. Please stick to the 10 sentences. It really helps us as we're going through all of the applications. If you have a project or company website, you're welcome to put that link here. Not a necessity. If you see that and you think, oh my gosh, I don't have one, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Who do you want to help or create value for? And so here we're saying it's totally fine if you're still exploring this. You just want to give us your best idea of who you think would get the most value from the work that you're doing. The next one is, what stage of development is your solution in? You can select one of these. Has your venture earned any revenue? Again, just a multiple choice question, just letting us know. And it's okay if the answer is no. I don't want that to freak anybody out where you think, oh my gosh, is everyone else earning revenue and therefore I'm not in the running? Not at all true, just helpful for us to understand. Which sector does your idea or venture best fit into? You can select one of these, and if it's none, then you select other. Your motivation and goals. What motivates you to solve this particular problem? So what personal connection or experience drives you for wanting to solve this? Beyond the business knowledge and skills, what personal or professional growth areas are you hoping this program will help you develop? And you can select up to 2 of those options. What do you hope to achieve by the end of the FLIP program? So what does success look like to you? That's a really great one for you to explain to us that you're hoping to have, I don't know, an MVP that you've created by the end of it, or you're hoping to feel much more confident having hard conversations, or anything in between that. It doesn't have to be specifically business related. It could be personal related. You're welcome to include whatever you think is successful for you there. What unique perspective or skill will you bring to your cohort that might benefit other participants? I love this question because one of the best, I think probably the best thing about this program is that it is a cohort-based program, which means that you're not only learning from me and Richard and your coaches and the facilitators, you're getting to learn from a group of other women who have varying skill sets, varying experiences, and also tapping into their networks as well. And so we're wanting to know here, what do you think that you're able to offer the cohort? Because that is a really important part of what this program asks of you. Did you complete phase 1 of FLIP earlier in the year? Again, totally fine if you didn't complete phase 1. This is open to everybody. It doesn't matter if you haven't been in there or not, even if you didn't apply for phase 1, completely fine. And if there's anything else you'd like us to know. And then you have your video at the bottom here. Now, with your video, the best way to do this, and you can do it however you like, but we often get questions around, how should I submit the video to you? The way that we found the most easy for us to access is if you film a video and you put it up on YouTube as an unlisted or private video. That means that no one else can see it except for those with a link. And then you just input the YouTube URL into the section where it asks you for a URL when you open the form. That's the easiest way to do it. And that means that we don't have to get access or request access or anything like that. So that's the application form. I know that's quite a lot, but I hope that having a PDF will help you be able to sit down and answer some of your questions before having to submit it. The other thing to mention here is that with the fill out form, which I can go back to just here, it does save if you're using the same device. So if you're doing the application on your phone, if you get out of it and then go back in on your phone, you will be able to still see your answers from before. Same with your laptop if you use the same laptop, but if you use a different device, it won't save. So completely up to you how you would like to do it. That's the application form. Jump back to the Word doc now. The Word doc, the PowerPoint, I mean. And if you have any questions about the application, please post them into the Q&A as well. Selection criteria. So what are we assessing on? We have 3 criteria that we will assess every application against. The first is unique vision. So we're looking for applications that communicate a compelling vision, something that tells us that you might see the world a little differently to everyone else, or that you're aiming for a really ambitious goal, or this is really novel and interesting. The second is founder attributes. So 2 things here: your connection to the problem, so why you and why this, and whether you're a hyper ambitious person. Don't have to be super polished, you don't have to be perfect, but just genuinely going after something that we can see you are very passionate about. And then program alignment. Does your growth goals actually match what Flip is able to offer at this particular point in time? And this one matters more than people expect, because the best applications are the ones where you can see exactly how the next 9 weeks moves the venture forward, because we don't want to be wasting your time, and we also don't want to take a place away from someone who might really benefit from this. So that's a really important part of why we ask some of those questions. And so when you're answering your questions, just keep these selection criteria in mind. If you have any questions around that, please let me know. The one question that we always get when what happens to my idea when it comes to IP, which is a very important question, and I want to be really clear about this. So with Flip, the University of Newcastle makes no claim over the intellectual property that you generate as part of Flip. The only thing that we ask is that where it is reasonable, you acknowledge that it was developed through the program, so through the Flip program, and there is some standard detail for anyone who happens to be a current University of Newcastle student or staff member, where your usual university IP policy will apply here. And then the other part to this is that if you would like the university's help to commercialize down the track, so you have your business idea that you're working on now, and later on you'd like our help to be able to commercialize it, that is available, but on a cost recovery basis. But overall, the headline is simple: your idea will stay yours. So the dates for your calendar, there is 2 of them, 2 main ones. The first one is that phase 2 applications are currently open, so you're welcome to submit an application literally as soon as the info session is over. They will stay open until Sunday at 11:59 on the 20th of September. And phase 2 delivery runs from Thursday, the 8th of October through to Thursday, the 3rd of December. And there will be a coaching session following that, which is optional. If you can't attend that, that's fine. But they're the dates that you should lock into your calendar now, noting that the workshops will be delivered on a Thursday, so every Thursday between the 8th of October and the 3rd of December. So once you get your application in, we'll be in charge about next steps. And that's it. Applications are open now. So do we have any questions? We covered a lot. So I'm going to open it up to you. Whatever's on your mind: eligibility, application, time commitment, pop it into the Q&A and we'll work through as many as we can. And just a reminder that you can head to the website. There's also an FAQ on there too. And if there's any important questions that come through in this Q&A, we'll update the FAQ on the website as well. You can also schedule a 15-minute office hours call with us as well. So if you finish the information session and you still have questions, or you're starting to do your application form and you just want to understand a little bit more about what we're asking of you, you can schedule a 15-minute call with us as well. So when you go to newcastle.edu.au/New South Wales-Flip, then you'll see all of the information on there. Awesome, some questions. Robin. Oh, Richard already answered that. Thanks, Rich. Maggie, if all phase 1 go into phase 2, does that make outsiders coming into phase 2 harder? That is a great question, and that's not how it's going to work. So obviously doing phase 1 is helpful, because those people who are in phase 1 are in the depths of being able to do some customer discovery, and therefore will be able to answer those questions in the application quite well. However, we've also seen fantastic applications from people who we've never met before. So it's an entirely new application process, an entirely new criteria, and different people judging it as well. So it doesn't matter whether you did phase 1 or not at all. Good question. If I changed co-synthesist from a sole trader into a company, does that exclude me from applying under that banner? That's a good question. I don't believe so. I think as long as you meet the eligibility requirements that we mentioned before, so you haven't had any external funding and over $500,000 and all of those points that we mentioned before, then you would still be eligible to apply. When are the decisions made? That's a great question, Bridget. So applications close on the 20th, which is the Sunday. And by the Friday that week, you will know. So Friday is when we'll send out the offers. So the 25th, I want to say, 26th, the Friday of that week. Awesome. Margie, you mentioned that you could have a male co-founder, but they won't be directly involved in the Flip program. How should the application treat the elements they bring to the business idea? That is a wonderful question. Thank you, Margie. So in the application form, there is the questions around your team. And one of those questions will include like, what are their roles and what do they bring to the business? And so you're welcome to just describe them in that. So their name and then what their title is, if you have a title, or what they work on. And that's all. That's all you need. Just so we know that you have a co-founder, and that's an interesting part of your application. But just noting that they're male, so they won't be joining the program. It's a great question. Thanks, Margie. Paige, my application wasn't successful for the previous I2N accelerator. Does that impact my application now? And do we need to have an MVP? Great question, Paige. First of all, no, not at all. We don't make a note of applications that weren't successful. It will be totally based on the application that you submit this time. And do we need to have an MVP? No, not at all. It's great if you do. That's awesome. And you can definitely tell us about it if you do have an MVP at this particular point. But that's not one of the criteria that we need in order to accept you into the program. Hayes, any tips for a better chance of getting approved for phase 2 and the videos we have to submit? That's a great question. The video, we just love to see personality in the video. That's the main reason that we have the video as part of the application, is that you can write as many words about the problem and who you are, and that will definitely tell us one thing. But in order to get the full picture of you, we just want to see your personality. So I would encourage you to just be yourself in the video. And in order to answer the questions, I think just really focusing on what it is that you want to get out of the program. I think that's a really great part of the application, is telling us what you're hoping to achieve. Like I said, it can be personal or professional. And also the problem that you're solving. So we often talk at I2N about how the solution might change 100 times, but the problem will always stay the same. And so that's something we really care about in the application process. So just being able to describe very succinctly and easy for us to understand the problem that you're solving and why it matters to you. Great, thanks. Wendy, what might cause an application to be rejected? A few things. One, if they don't meet the eligibility requirements that we mentioned or we laid out before, or the responses that you've given are just not marked as highly as potentially some of the other people who have applied. With anything that is application-based, it definitely just comes down to the caliber of the entire application pool. And so if you're rejected, it doesn't at all mean that your idea is not worthy, or that we don't think that you would be a good founder, or that you shouldn't continue with your business. You absolutely should. And we do aim to give detailed feedback to those who want it post-application if they don't get accepted. And so you're always welcome to reach out and to get some insight from us if that is the case. But yes, good question. Hayes, beautiful. I'm just excited to apply. I'm excited to read your application. Thank you, Hayes. Natalie, can you highlight the commercial options? I'm still considering LMS software, website developments, and store IP, trademark, licensing, etc. I would like to hold off if this is something I can evolve with during the course and with the commercial options in the end. That's a great question. Thank you, Natalie. As I mentioned before in all the topics that we cover for phase 2, we don't cover a lot of those hard business skills that you're kind of mentioning around software development or IP trademarks, those kind of things. However, one of the great parts about being in a cohort and having your coaching, like I mentioned, is that you'll be able to be connected with other people who can help you with that. You can ask questions and get connections, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of other things that come around just the content that we're teaching you. So I wouldn't necessarily say hold off, but I also would say that if you are wanting to apply for the program and are feeling confident about your application, then maybe just hold off a few weeks until we can kind of start looking at all of the things that happen in the program and whether that is the right time for you to do it. But totally up to you. Good question. Thank you. Bridget, how many applications did you receive last time? Or is this the first time it is New South Wales wide? Thank you, Bridget. This is the first time that phase 2 has happened for New South Wales. So we are currently in phase 1 of delivery. And for phase 1 delivery, we received around 200 applications, which was way more than we ever anticipated, which was very, very exciting because it really showed us that there is a need and a demand for this particular program. And so it does mean that the application process will probably be quite competitive. But we haven't done phase 2 before. We haven't had an application process this extensive for New South Wales Flip before. So yes, great question. How many spots are available for phase 2? We'll be accepting roughly around 20 teams. Thanks, Tadvi. Do you support NPPs, non-for-profits? Maggie, that is a good question. More than happy for anyone who's doing a non-for-profit to submit an application. Are you looking for particular businesses? For example, would a music industry business, but they cater to a genre that's not as mainstream but has a huge impact on the community, still have the same chance? Yeah, absolutely. If you're able to answer all of the questions in the application form, then you are more than welcome to apply. The only thing we care about is the eligibility criteria. So make sure that you're familiar with that. And if you meet all of those, then any idea that you have is a worthy idea to submit into the program. Thank you. And pages I have answered. Great. Thank you. Catherine, just confirming the closing date is today. It's the 20th of September. Yes. I also found that funny when I was doing some dates. I was like, it's the 20th for both events, the information session and the application's closing. But no, the application's closed on the 20th of September. So you've got a month. What are your commercial offerings in the end? Could you elaborate on that question? What do you mean by commercial offerings? Thanks, Natalie. Is there any other questions that people have that we can pop in? That was so many questions. I loved it. Will you be running a local version again in Newcastle? That is a great question. No, not currently. I mean, never say never. We don't know what the future looks like, but at the moment, we're definitely focusing on the New South Wales version of this. But as mentioned, if you get accepted into phase 2, you do have the opportunity to co-work from our location, so I2N's location here at Honeysuckle, or the regional delivery partners, so CSU and UNE as well. So there'll be other opportunities for you to be able to meet other people in the cohort from the same location and all those kind of things. Can we talk about grants during coaching? You absolutely can. So you're welcome to ask any of the questions that you need to in your coaching sessions, noting that obviously your coaches will let you know if it's something that they're not able to answer. And if they can't, then I'm sure that they'll try and connect you with somebody else. So you can definitely talk about grants. It's a question that comes up quite a lot, actually. Natalie, you mentioned signing up for commercial options at the end. Do you mean around when I was talking about IP, about how if that was something that you wanted to commercialize afterwards? Is that if that's the case, if that's what you're asking? It's not that it's necessarily available. It's just that something that people sometimes want to do afterwards is get in contact with university researchers to be able to commercialize that way. And that if that's the case, it would be a case-by-case basis of answering questions around that and things like that. But it's not something that we're hard offering for the end of the program. Thanks, Natalie. Any other questions? Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Are you allowed to be part of the SEA program while on this? I'm not familiar with what the SEA or C program is, but I without knowing what that is, most people who are in another program would be eligible to still be in this one if that was something that you wanted to do. But I couldn't answer that 100% until I know what that program is. Sarah, what exactly is the connection between the University of Newcastle and this second phase? Was this program make it easier to connect with the researchers, academics, and students? So the University of Newcastle is the delivery partner for this particular program. So we've designed FLIP and we've received funding from the New South Wales government and the Belinda and Adam McDougall Foundation to be able to deliver what we had already created and started delivering for the Hunter and Central Coast to now do it statewide, whilst also partnering with CSU and UNE. So that's our connection, is that we're delivering it. We're the main delivery partner for that. But would this program make it easier to connect with researchers, academics, and students? It depends on what your idea is. It depends on at what level you want kind of connection to those researchers, academics, and students. But there is always the opportunity to be able to be connected in some way, shape, or form if that is something that is wanted from you. Hayes, self-employment assistance program for business owners. They do coaching and you get their own payment. Self-employment assistance program. First of all, I've never heard of that. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I would say yes. I believe that you would still be eligible. Richard, if you have another answer, feel free to throw that in the chat. But I believe that you would still be eligible as long as you haven't received $500,000 in funding. Perfect. Thanks, Kelly, for letting me know. Will you accept service-based businesses? Absolutely. As I mentioned, you're more than welcome to submit an idea of any kind. It doesn't matter if it's a product or a service or a non-for-profit or a for-profit. If this is a program that you believe that you could get a lot out of, as long as you can articulate that in your application, we're more than happy to accept your application. Great. So any more questions, then we will I'll just wait a minute or two. But thank you, everyone, so much for jumping onto the information session, for asking questions, and for listening. And if you have any questions following this, feel free to reach out to us via email. You can schedule the call with me, which Richard posted a link in the chat as well, or head to the FAQ. And like I said, this information session will be made available online, so you can check back to it. But you have a month until your applications are due, and I really look forward to reading them all and watching all the videos. And I hope that you are all able to submit an application. Okay, great. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Bye.